Ladies and gentlemen, it's Tuesday, and you know what that means. It's time for NFL recap here on RJ Rennie Unhinged. Week 2 is in the books, and the Packers are 1-1. You probably noticed I was in a much better mood today rather than last week because, as I said, Packers won on Monday Night Football yesterday at home against the Lions, 35-17. Now, I'm not naive to the situation. I do understand that this is still the Detroit Lions, who no longer have their best player playing for them. It is now Jared Goff under center rather than Matthew Stafford. However, after only putting up 3 points in 60 minutes of football, the fact that we scored 7 points on our first drive is something to really be happy about. So, the fact of the matter is, this team is not doomed. I think they needed a little bit of a wake-up call last week against the Saints. And the Saints need a little bit of a wake-up call, too, because they lost. They got manhandled by the Panthers in Charlotte. I mean, it was bad for them. The defense was swarming. Jameis was getting hit. Jameis was feeling generous. I think he turned the ball over at least twice. Then on terrible throws that were just, it was Jameis being old Jameis. Defensive line never let him get comfortable. Alvin Kamara couldn't get going. Alvin Kamara cost me my fantasy game. I lost my fantasy game by .28, and Kamara had a negative 7-yard run down in the red zone, and that cost me the game, ultimately. So pissed about that. Anyway, so Saints got their humbling this past week, and the Panthers may be for real. Sam Darnold has been looking sharp, throwing the ball for his new team, and CMC's doing CMC things. I mean, he was efficient. He just, every time he got the ball, he did what he was supposed to do in the running game or the passing game. CMC just does what CMC does. And they're the only undefeated team left in the NFC. They're one of the 4 undefeated teams left in the NFC, along with the Bucs. So the way the defense was playing, I mean, it was kind of a close game in Tampa against the Falcons for a little while until Matt Ryan forgot how to play football. They had a chance to go down and take the lead, or at least go down and I think it was tie the game, and it was a 3-and-out. And then after that, I mean, Matt Ryan threw 2 pick sixes, and it was just a nightmare after that. Anywho, Panthers look like they're going to be the real deal. So keep an eye on them. So now we go back to the Packers. So the Saints got their humbling. Saints humbled us last week. But we get a win. Aaron plays like he did last year. He had 5 incompletions, 4 touchdowns, 255 yards. And Aaron Jones had 4 touchdowns. Not sure how many touches he had. He had 3 receiving touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown. And our defense came up with 2 turnovers. They got a fumble and they got a pick late in the game against Jared Goff. Everything looked better. However, the first touchdown the Lions got was a blatant miscommunication on defense. Those are still going to be there. If those persist, then better teams will take advantage of us more often. The Lions are not a good team. They haven't been for a while. We got away with maybe some mistakes in this game against that team. Those defensive mistakes cannot continue against the entire NFC West, which we have to play. The NFC West is by far the best division in football, all with very good defenses and very strong offenses, and you cannot get away with defensive miscues like that because they will pick you apart. So, branching beyond the Packers. Packers got their win. Browns got their win. Tyrod Taylor's playing very well in Houston. He got hurt during halftime of that game, so he was out for the entire second half. But he's been playing very well in Houston. And Houston is playing Carolina this Thursday. Keep an eye on that game. I'm going to watch because that will be a good game. People, for some reason, are sleeping on these teams and sleeping on these Thursday night matchups. Last week was a hell of a game. Taylor Heineke gets his first win. The Giants snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. It was a really fun game to watch. It even had its very own cliffhanger because Dustin Hopkins missed the field goal, and Dexter Lawrence gave the Redskins another chance to win it. This season has already been full of so many really good games. one of which was not the Packers game last Sunday. Even though the Browns lost last week, that was one of them. You had, just this past week alone, good games that everyone enjoyed watching. As I mentioned, the Giants and the Redskins. Very good game to watch. I was watching both of these in the afternoon. Actually, all three of these in the afternoon. Chargers and Cowboys came down the last minute. Titans Seahawks went to overtime. Vikings Cardinals, Greg Joseph did it to him twice. He missed an extra point. That was the whole reason they were down when he was in position to kick the game-winning field goal, and he pushed the game-winning field goal wide right. Cardinals stay unbeaten in a fantastic game. It was a great game. Raiders and Steelers was also a good game, even though it was over a little bit before the other ones were. It was still a very good game. The Raiders are also for real. For the first time in the Mahomes era, he's not in first place in the division. The Broncos and the Raiders are both 2-0. Mahomes is 1-1, and the Chargers are also 1-1. The AFC West at the moment is up for grabs, and if the Raiders and the Broncos keep playing the way they're playing, the AFC West may not be a pushover. The AFC West is probably the best AFC division now. Going into it, I would have said that it was the North with the Browns, the Ravens, and the Steelers. But now the way that the Broncos and the Raiders are playing, pair that with the Chargers' raw potential and the fact that the Chiefs are still the Chiefs, keep an eye on that division and let's see how it goes. Because we may forget that the Chiefs only had 2 losses all of last year. One of them was in mid-season in Arrowhead against the Raiders. When the Chiefs went to Allegiant Stadium, it came down to a last-minute touchdown to win, for the Chiefs to win. And then their last loss was against the Chargers, but they benched their starters. It was in Week 17 when they had already locked up the number 1 seed, so they didn't care. So the Raiders have already beaten the Chiefs before, and they haven't played them yet. The Broncos have gotten close a couple of times, but Drew Lock was never able to finish the deal. I'm a fan of Drew Lock, but his overconfidence is his weakness. Teddy Bridgewater is a much more efficient thrower of the football because he knows what he can do and he does what he can do well. So you got Teddy Bridgewater leading the Broncos right now to a 2-0 start. Granted, those two wins come against the Giants and the Jaguars, but they did it efficiently. Like, they beat the teams they should have beaten, and they beat them well. So keep an eye on that division. The NFC West is still looking very good. Rams are 2-0. A huge game. The game of the week next week on Fox in the afternoon is the Rams and the Buccaneers. Holy shit, that will be a fantastic game. I hope the Rams pulled out. It is in Los Angeles. The Rams won that game in Tampa Bay last year without Matthew Stafford. So now let's see what happens with Matthew Stafford in Los Angeles to a Buccaneers team that barely escaped the Cowboys and let the Falcons hang around for most of the game. Everyone wants to say that it's automatically going to be the Chiefs and the Buccaneers in the Super Bowl. I was hoping that the Packers would at least look a little bit stronger by this point, so maybe they were in that conversation. But from everything that we have seen through 2 weeks of football, this could be way too early. Some teams maybe they're looking like contenders now, but they turn out to be pretenders. Like the spiel I just went on about the Raiders and Broncos. Those teams could wind up not being what I think they are now. But that remains to be seen. The Buccaneers have gotten 2 very bad teams to start the year. The Cowboys, I believe, are on the rise, but this is still the Cowboys, and they're a long way off from being where they want to be. They barely escaped the Cowboys at home. The Falcons are a terrible team. They got their ass whipped at home by the Eagles. I'll get into that tangent in here in a bit because I have something else to build off of that. And they hung around in that game against the Bucs until about midway through the fourth, when they had a 4-and-out, and then after that the Bucs piled it on. And at that point, the game was over. But it was a game for about 3 and some quarters. So through 3 quarters, it was a game. It was a one-possession game. So the Bucs did not put the inferior team away. They were scoring, but their defense was not putting them away. This really good defense was not putting away the lowly Falcons. Everyone and the Chiefs the same way. The Chiefs are already 1-1, lost to the Ravens, and barely beat the Browns last week. And the Browns had a chance to win that game if Sorensen doesn't get around Baker's legs. Those are the two teams that are already projected to go to the Super Bowl, and everyone's like bats and eye, like without question. Everything we've seen so far in these first 2 weeks of football shows me 5 teams per conference that could challenge both of them. I would say there's probably 5 teams per conference that can challenge the Bucs, and one of those games could be probably happening on Sunday between the Rams and the Bucs. In the AFC side, Raiders, Broncos, Browns, Ravens, Bills. Those are going to be probably your teams, your high playoff teams. Notice how 2 of them are in the Chiefs division and currently sitting on top of them right now. They will play them twice, and we'll have to see how that goes. The Broncos still haven't had a home game yet, so we'll see how. So they've won 2 games already on the road. On the NFC side, I will still say the Pack because after last night they are back in business, but they're probably the lower ranked side of it. The Rams, the Cardinals, I can't say Washington at this point. So go the Rams, Cardinals. Maybe the Seahawks, but they kind of blew it against the Titans. And last but not least, the Panthers, who are 2-0 and are looking much improved. So all I'm going to say is really keep an eye out for the rest of this season because I cannot tell you what is going to happen. This football season so far has been full of upsets, full of surprises, full of highs, full of lows, but all in all has been a very good start to football because almost every single game is one that you don't want to turn off because it is ultimately entertaining football. And that's all you could ask for to start with as a fan, but come playoff times when you don't know what to expect and you don't know how the playoffs are going to line up, like when your wild card teams are going to be decided come week 18, that's exciting, and we are poised for that at the moment. Last thing I was going to say about the Niners, the Niners may not be as good as we thought they were because they went and steamrolled the Lions, but the Lions came back on them to where it was only one possession game. They played against the Eagles, who dominated the Falcons, and only beat the Eagles, who are not that good of a team, only by 3. It was 14-11, and struggling to move the ball all game. The Niners may not be as good as we thought they were, but the rest of the NFC West most certainly is. The AFC West is looking very strong, even to the Chargers. The Chargers have a ton of raw potential. They caught the short end of a stick again on Sunday against the Cowboys, but I'm just telling you, keep your eyes open this season because there is a lot of good still left to come. And don't overlook some of these sleeper matches on Thursday Night Football. I'm just saying, this Thursday night game is going to be a very good game. I'm going to make my pick now. I'm going to say the Panthers start 3-0. I think it will be a good game. I think it'll probably be, let's say 31-24 in favor of the Panthers. Should be a very fun game. Anyway, thanks for tuning in to NFL Recap Week 2 here on RJ Rennie Unhinged. The Pack is back, and I will be back next Tuesday to talk to you guys. Enjoy your week. Enjoy football. It's back. I couldn't be happier. Take care.